How you doing, guys and gals? I know we've been gone for a really, really long time, but we've been missing you. We've been thinking about you, baby. And that's why the Bombcast is back, bringing you the very best in New Japan Pro Wrestling analysis. At least on this side of the Pacific, it's the flying.gaijin.bombcast. In case you've forgotten, I am your host, Zachary Randall, and with me, my co-host, the white meat babyface, the original Best Bout Machine, hailing from Erie, Pennsylvania. It's Mad Matt Thompson. Matty, it's been a goddamn long time. How you doing?
Pretty good, pretty good. A lot has happened since we last spoke over the pod waves.
The pod
if
waves.
You will.
The pod waves.
That's the new it's like video scope. We got the pod waves now.
Is that what the kids call it?
Yeah, I just made that up. So
yeah, I don't know. I'm an old man. I'm well into my 40s at this point. By that I mean I'm like 41 in 4 months. So that means to me I'm like well into my 40s. So I'm sitting here, Maddie. I'm having a little bit of beer. I got my pint glass next to me. I'm having from Lord Hobo. I'm having a little boom sauce. I feel like I want to cut an ad for it and be like, from Lord Hobo, it's boom sauce, the sauce that goes boom. You know, just be like break out my radio voice for that shit.
So that just to me it just screams that it needs a Dusty Rhodes promo.
So what would Dusty say about boom sauce?
Something about the boom sauce, daddy. I don't know. That's all I got.
And Terry Funk shows up and calls him an egg-sucking dog, you know?
Indeed he does, Zach. That egg-sucking dog. That rat bastard. Speaking of rat bastards, got a little bit of an infestation at the homestead.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got a baby up in the place. So you can't have. I mean, you don't want rodents running around anyway, but you definitely can't have any fucking disease-bearing motherfuckers up in your shit right now.
Right. Yeah. Tad bit uncomfortable about that whole deal. So got a couple traps set. Hopefully that's taken care of real fast. But living out in the country, it's bound to happen.
Hey, so listen, I live, in the sunny suburbs of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and right to the west of my development, there is a little strip mall. And so, of course, there's like a cinder block wall between, this place and the next. And if you go out there at the right time at night, you can see rats running across the wall. And so it ain't about living in the country, bro. It's just about living where the rats are at.
Yeah, it's a little scary. But it's all good. Yeah, there's been a lot going on. Like you mentioned, I have a now 5-month-old daughter, and I don't want to make excuses or anything to our loyal fans, but that's been preoccupying most of my time. And like you mentioned, I've relocated as well. So I actually moved twice in few months since we've last recorded, so it's been a lot going on, but alas, the Shin Nihon Pureis beckons me, and I must do the duty.
So I don't want you to fall on the sword here. I mean, you have been busy with a baby, and a job and a woman and moving a couple times, and apparently rodents. The real reason that the show hasn't been on since October is late fall. I went down to Texas to visit a good buddy of mine, one of my best friends from college, and we got to hitting the tequila one night, and it was already the next day. It was like the next week, if that tells you what that night was like. I woke up in a jail in Juarez, which is really weird because my homie lives in like the suburbs of Dallas, so I don't know how the fuck I got that far south. So the thing is like, I don't know where my cell phone was at. I had to go buy a new one eventually after I finally got out. And then, my Spanish is pretty shitty. I can basically talk about my cat and libraries, and that's about it. So I was stuck there for about 6 months or so before I finally got somebody to bail me out. And, I'm back, and then I had some I had some shit to take care of, and like I don't know, paying my bills and begging to keep my job. So all that's settled. All the charges were dropped. I'm still gainfully employed, and they're here. We're ready to bombcast again.
Indeed. I may have contributed to some of that bail money, but I never did find out what the actual charge was. Did you ever even find out?
It was. I don't even know that I should talk about it. It was something. It was something to do with. I don't know. It was something to do with a sick fish. At least I thought I heard them. I don't know. My Spanish isn't that good. A sick fish and a biblioteca. Yeah, I don't know.
Was there anything about an Aranya discoteca?
It's probably if I was that far into the tequila, there was probably a discoteca going on.
That's from you probably don't watch Community, but they did a Spanish rap, and Donald Glover, who is also now known as Childish Gambino, he was at the time too, but yeah, he's got a little bit more clout as a recording artist now as well. But in the rap, he refers to himself as La Aranya Discoteca, the disco spider.
So what's funny is like a meme will pop up on Facebook, and it'll be something about like Donald Glover and Childish Gambino, and it's like an old fucker like me is supposed to know what the joke is there, and it's like, oh, yeah, okay, right, I gotta like be cool and act like I knew that.
Yeah, well, Atlanta's a fantastic show, probably one of the best currently running shows on television. So, whether you're into hip hop or not, I highly recommend that show.
All right, well, good stuff. So, we're here to talk about some wrestling.
Indeed, we are. Yeah, we're already off in the weeds. My bad.
It's fine. It's fine. This is what people expect from us.
True.
So we've been away a while. The last show relating to New Japan we did was King of Pro Wrestling from last year, and then we did our really cool Terry Funk and Ric Flair episode, which I really hope people liked. Unfortunately, it feels like a little bit of a vacuum when we send the episodes out. We're not going to do that sort of stuff all the time, but it is fun to tap into some really classic stuff like that. But the focus going forward is going to be modern, current New Japan. Let's get caught up a little bit because we're damn near a year behind. Dude, Kenny Omega's the IWGP champion.
Yeah, that was quite the match, quite the event, really. That was Dominion, correct?
Yeah, that was Dominion.
Yes. Wow. Hiromu Takahashi putting on a killer match, winning the Junior Heavyweight Championship.
After winning the Super Juniors.
Yeah, a tremendous Super Juniors. Anybody who didn't catch the tournament, at least go back and watch Hiromu, win the Super Juniors against Bone Soldier, and the following ensuing title match against Ospreay. Those were both fantastic matches.
The good Bone Soldier, not Captain New Japan.
Yeah, that's an important distinction that must be made. Yeah, there's a different man under that mask these days.
So, yeah, I mean, there's so much shit to go over here. We're gonna go through it quick because we want to talk about this past weekend in the G1. But all right, so obviously Kenny is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion. He's had his first title defense. Chris Jericho, of all people, is the IWGP Intercontinental Champion. Okay. Juice Robinson. And by the way, that's not a dig on Jericho. I love Jericho. He's one of my favorites ever. I mean, I don't know that there's probably any other person on the planet that loves both heavy metal and wrestling as much as I do. It would have to be like Chris Jericho and you.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably a pretty exclusive company. Yeah, I'd imagine.
So, he's sort of a kindred spirit with just a much better physique.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and a much more famous father.
And I feel like my tattoos are better.
Yeah, his tattoos all remind me of reject Judas Priest album covers.
Well, one of mine is actually an album cover, so
Yeah, well, it's an actual album cover at
An
least.
actual album cover.
Yes.
Young Bucks moved up to the heavyweight division, and they're currently the tag champs. They picked it up from Evil and Sonata. Goto is your never open weight champion. He nabbed that from Suzuki, right? And then he nabbed it from Suzuki, dropped it to Elgin, and then got it back like 8 days later.
Yeah, that's right. Had a match with Jeff Cobb in there as well that wasn't quite on the level of the other matches from that period, but that quite recent period. But yeah, Goto's really been stepping it up both in his title defenses and in this G1 as well. Really stepping his performance up a new level, I feel like.
Yeah, and we're gonna talk about more about Goto and Jeff Cobb here in a sec. It's a funny thing is I'm actually trying to figure out who the junior tag champions are right now. That division is stagnated a little bit. Is that still who the hell is that? Is that Desperado and Kanemaru?
It's got to be, yeah, because it's not.
It's not showing you.
Punky in 3K now.
Okay, so yeah, it's got to be the Suzuki Goon guys, and then I think it's like the Bucks and Skrull that are the 6-man tag champions, and those belts just never get defended.
Yeah, I haven't even seen anybody talk about them in a long time. I think Skrull's the only one I've seen wear a strap to the ring recently.
So when I was, we'll get caught up with this. I've been to a fuck ton of cool wrestling shows this year, and I've got at least 2 more coming up, hopefully more. I was at the Cow Palace show with, I want to give a shout out to my dude Dan Ortega. Him and I used to be in the band Graveseeker together. He's basically like, it's like if I knew Tom Araya personally, except, with a slightly smaller beard and less hair.
Is he as Catholic as Tom Araya?
He is actually not Catholic at all. So that's Tom is Chilean, I believe, or maybe Argentinian, and Dan is Cuban.
Okay, yeah, slightly.
But Dan is hopefully listening to this, and he'll hear that he got a shout out. So.
Yeah, I shouted out his hat that one time as well. So.
Hey, dude. So listen, actually, I want to give some props to Dan. So our dude Chase, who's our part of our little like wrestling and comic book and video game and heavy metal crew that we got here in the tri-state area or the tri-county area in South Florida. Chase got him back into wrestling because of NXT. Dan was digging it, and then we're like, okay, well, you're watching WWE, but you got to start watching New Japan now. And he was sort of dipping his toe into it. But that's like we're like the friends that are like trying to, like, you just listen to Merciful Fate. Now we're trying to get you to listen to fucking Emperor and Bork Nagar. Like, we're trying to get just fucking dive in the deep into the pool, and he's not having it.
No, it's not for everyone.
Well, let me. But he has been slowly getting into it, getting to know the guys, and obviously is like a bit, because you can go back and you can watch like Shinsuke, and you can watch AJ, you can watch Finn Balor / Prince Dev. There's a ton of guys that you can go back and watch in New Japan.
Yeah. Well, and I'm thinking back to when I first started watching. It's a bit of a learning curve. Lots of different names, people that you haven't heard of before. I remember when I first started watching and I started listening to podcasts talking about these people, like, oh, there's Inishi and an Ibushi. Like, how am I supposed to
it's
discern
hard
between these two? So hopefully, that's something that we're trying to do here is to help acclimate people. And, that's if we do that, we're doing our job right. If not, then, we'd appreciate feedback as far as how to help. So
yes, we would appreciate that feedback. There's 2 Takahashis, it's anyway.
And a Tanahashi. So yeah, it can be a little bit tricky at first. No question.
So anyway, though, so my year in wrestling, we got a little indie group that we go see here in Broward, but so I went to the Takeover Chicago show. Was ringside, which was super badass, as you might imagine. I was kind of on a corner, though, and then there was a okay, so I'm not I want everybody to be clear when I'm saying this. I'm not talking shit about cops. I'm talking shit about a cop. So there was basically some Barney Fife motherfucker that was working security that weekend who was really bothered by people standing up. And here's the thing, man. It's ringside at a major WWE event. Those seats aren't cheap. We're going to stand, homie. Okay, and it was just the one dude because the rest of the guys, listen, man, they're just cops. They're fucking putting a night in at the arena to get an extra payday. But this guy, yeah, I don't know. This guy was lashing out about some shit from high school or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that one.
And again, I'm talking about a person. I am not disparaging the profession as a whole. I want to make that clear.
Yeah, it's a hot button issue, so I will evade that one.
One asshole,
like Barry Sanders.
One asshole, not a group of assholes. Okay. Anyway.
True that.
So yeah, so I was there for Takeover Chicago. Dude, let me tell you something. Ricochet. I was a big fan of Ricochet anyway. You see Ricochet come out. He's got that badass robe going on. Gets in the ring, and then him and Dream do that Rock Hogan stare down. And that's
which was apropos too, because Patrick Clark's attire leading into the match as well.
Because Patrick Clark is doing both Hogan and Savage, you know.
Yeah, and I feel like Dennis Rodman and Prince all at the same time, and he's pulling it off. So more power to the man.
You know what? Dream isn't a great wrestler yet, but I don't know that he's ever going to need to be.
No, he's got a lot, more charisma in his pinky than most people do. And
I'm not saying that he's going to be as big as The Rock because that would be ridiculous, but he basically needs to be like The Rock, and that he needs to be competent in the ring. Like, he needs to not make the match worse, and he'll be good to go.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't know how much of a promo guy he is yet, necessarily, but he doesn't even really have to be. Just his body language and everything really tells a story and really says it all.
And then, anyway, watching Ricochet do that stare down, and that was like, and I'm like, fuck, dude has got it. Because, he wasn't a promo guy in New Japan and on the American Indies, right? He was fucking King Ricochet, and that was it. Which is, by the way, is good enough. But, dude, he showed, that's what I knew. Like, I don't know what's going to happen on the main roster, but he's going to be the top guy in NXT, without a doubt. I mean, it's going to be basically down to him and Gargano and your favorite Adam Cole.
Yeah.
Here's what I'm going to say.
Way to bring the mood down, Zach.
Here's what I'm going to say. Until you see him in person, I don't want you to say anything else about him anymore. Because seeing him in person, I'm like, holy fucking shit, it's Shawn Michaels.
All right, fair enough.
Dude, especially when he gets up on the ringside, and especially when he's got all of Undisputed with him, he gets up on the apron, he does the Adam Cole baby, and then he does the boom. It's in person, it's so fucking amazing. And 2 years ago, I wouldn't have said that about him.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't, it hasn't clicked for me.
So, and then obviously Gargano and Ciampa was amazing. The crowd was legitimately pissed about the finish. Ciampa may be, here's a four best heels in the business. Let me just run this down real quick. And this is in no particular order because all these guys are amazing. Obviously you got Tommaso Ciampa he's just a fuck. I don't know how to describe. He is a fuck. Okay. Minoru Suzuki, who's like a cool old dude, right? Like you could see hanging out and like drinking scotch with him, except he's going to choke you out eventually. He's the evilest fucker on the planet. Zack Sabre Jr. is also an amazing heel. And he's a heel in a completely different way, but it works well because him and Suzuki are a tag team. it's in a, I can beat you, but while I'm beating you, I'm going to hurt you.
Yeah, and I feel like it's really about the pride of being a competitor. If that makes sense, of being a superior competitor and knowing it, and being
And
able to really impose your will on a guy.
And here's something I was wrong about with him, because I was and if you go back and listen to us last year, I was a little critical of him of not maybe like putting on like a little more muscle or something, because I'm like, dude, you're a heavyweight, you need to be a little bigger. Here's the thing with Zack Sabre Jr. So dude's a vegan. Dude is in amazing condition. He's super flexible. He is going to be able to wrestle another 20 years at a top level because he doesn't have mass on him. He's flexible. He takes care of himself very well, and he wrestles a low impact style. So I was completely wrong. Dude, we're going to be watching Zack Sabre Jr. main event shit in his 50s, just like Minoru Suzuki is now.
Yeah, absolutely. And as good of a heel as he is, like I can't help but love him because he's a vegan and because he's pro labor and unabashedly advocates for those things. And I think it's really admirable. But that's just another part of being a New Japan fan is like these real human beings shine through in these characters. Like it's authentic, and that's something I really enjoy.
Agreed. So the fourth dude in the group of best heels is the New Japan version of Chris Jericho.
Mm-hmm.
His beat
Yeah,
down,
I despise him. I loathe him with a passion.
his beat down of Naito, who's my favorite guy in New Japan, made me uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it
Yeah.
really made me uncomfortable. And by the way, that's one of the things that I've really been enjoying about wrestling fandom for myself the last especially like the last couple of years, but especially the last year or so. I am able to drop all the intellectual smart fan bullshit and just emotionally get into a match. And you will actually spot me screaming at the ref, screaming at the heels, giving guys the finger, getting angry. I am that fan. So, when from bell to bell, it's real to me.
Yeah, and kudos to everybody involved in producing a product that can elicit that sort of reaction from even the most seasoned fans.
Agreed. So, moving on from NXT Takeover, which was an amazing show and in a like pretty cool arena too there in Chicago, the former Rosemont Horizon. I went to the there was the CEO Cross New Japan show in Daytona, and me and my little posse went. So that was me and Dan and Chase. Nabbed a room on Daytona Beach, and then got passes to CEO, and then went and saw the show. Obviously, there was some shit about the show online. Some people, I'm not going to get into it. It's all out there if you want to see it. Kenny was definitely catching some shit. Somewhat rightfully in some regard, but then once he sort of like apologized and sort of did his thing, then he was still getting shit about it. And at a certain point, it was like, I don't know what answers you want from the guy at this point, but I was very obvious to me, though, also while the show was going on, that it was fairly poorly produced. I haven't watched the stream. The announcers obviously weren't wrestling announcers. But when the good wrestling actually started, it was really good, especially when you're talking Golden Lovers against LIJ. It was pretty badass. And then after the show, we went to a bar a block away from our hotel, and we're just hanging out drinking beer, and Tama Tonga comes in, and he's just with a couple of his dudes hanging out. And the funny thing is you see Tama like out and about, and he just looks like a dude, And so we didn't go up and talk to him because I tend not to like bother people in public because, again, the guy has just got done working, so he's hanging out with his dudes, right? And considering what happened the very next week, I'm glad I didn't go say hi to him.
Yeah, that was probably the biggest angle that New Japan has run in the whole time we've been away, I would say.
Agreed. So I was so me and my dude Dan, and if actually you go back and watch G1 in San Francisco, and you see this bearded guy with a black and white LIJ hat on. So that's my dude Dan. Next to him, you'll see a guy in a Golden Elite shirt, and that's me. I was actually showing a couple matches to and a couple of my other dudes over the other night, and they're guys that aren't really wrestling fans, but I'm just like, you listen, I'm going to put some heavy metal on the turntable, and okay, so we're going to listen to some cool shit, but you guys are going to sit here and watch Japanese wrestling with me. And it was at the end of the Kenny Cody match that you can actually see me standing there in the crowd, and I've got that typical sort of lack of affect look on my face that I always have, like my resting, like mean face. And
the resting Kanye face.
And yeah, my friends are like giving me shit about it. I'm like, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that I don't walk around with a smile on my face all the time. This is just my affect.
You were paralyzed with joy.
Indeed. So so we were second row, the G1 show there. Amazing view. It was awesome. I had a really good view of Hiromu breaking his neck, unfortunately, and I cringed because I knew at the moment that it was bad. It was a really amazing show. There's 2 weeks in a row that I got to see Jeff Cobb, and the crowds aren't super into him yet in the U.S. What I do want to say about Jeff Cobb though is that he is like fucking phenomenal, and I don't know what his future is. But you watch a guy like Michael Elgin do like crazy shit like his enziguris, and he'll do like dives and all this shit. Dude, you got Jeff Cobb doing fucking moonsaults, man. And Jeff Cobb is, I don't know, dude. Matt, I think Jeff Cobb is like if basically you and I did like the little Saiyan hybrid thing that they do in Dragon Ball,
little Patari earrings or fusion dance, one of the two.
The fusion dance, that's it.
Yeah.
I'm drinking beer, so I can't remember all this shit. Actually, okay. I wanted to rewind something for a second. I forgot to mention this about Takeover. So if you watch Takeover, Keith Lee comes out during the show, right? It was during the Black and Lars Sullivan match, and this was right by me, like literally, like he's like sitting perpendicular to me. And actually, I shouted at him and actually got a picture from him. He looked over and winked and gave me a little thumbs up or something like that. Keith Lee, walking out in his suit, sitting down, and then sitting there watching a match, has more charisma than probably 90% of the wrestlers in the world. Keith Lee is a fucking superstar.
That's high praise. I'm not too familiar with him, and I'm looking forward to, I'm assuming he's going to debut probably at the next Takeover, or if not, shortly thereafter. So I'm looking forward to seeing his run, seeing how it goes.
You're going to bask in his glory.
Awesome. Looking forward to it.
So, G1 special in San Francisco, awesome show. Really awesome show. The downside was, of course, Hiromu breaking his neck, and he still had one of the best matches ever with Dragon Lee. Dragon Lee fucked up. That was Dragon Lee's fourth match in 24 hours because he was doing the King of the Indies the day before where he had 3 matches. He fucked up that Phoenix Plex. It should have been a capture and bridge, and he let him go, and Hiromu landed bad and broke his neck. Meltzer mentioned recently that Hiromu is still in the hospital. Hiromu tweeted recently that he was fine. Of course, Hiromu thinks he's fine because he's kind of fucking insane. But what are you gonna do?
Yeah, that's to be expected.
I mean, he's somebody that, in that regard, doesn't give a fuck, and I wish he would because, I mean, I feel like the best wrestler in the world is Okada. and I think Hiromu is about a half step behind him. And like, dude, I want you to be healthy long enough to be the best wrestler in the world.
Yeah, I think it's Bruce Mitchell who talks about, wanting to see these guys come out on the other end of their careers and live long, healthy lives as well. So,
And I feel that way about Kenny, and we'll actually, we'll talk about that in a bit as we roll on with this. Dude, amazing fucking match between Juice Robinson and Jay White. I have rarely seen a heel in the modern day have the heat that Jay White had in that match. He was fucking despised by that crowd. Juice is so over, it's not even fun. I don't even care. It could be Japan, where all the girls are yelling for him. It can be here. People love Juice. You know what? Todd Martin needs to get with the program at this point.
Well, when Kevin Owens says that you're the best promo in the wrestling business, what can you do? How can you not take heed and pay attention?
So,
That's that promo leading into that match. I'm no doctor. That's a broken metacarpal. Well, guess what? I got 205 more bones, motherfucker. Like, that's just...
No, Juice's,
yeah. I watched that promo back like several times, just basking in the glory of this great talker. It was fantastic.
Juice is, and by the way, Juice obviously was trained by Dusty because that's when he was at NXT. No, dude, Juice is a modern day Dusty in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've said that before. You can run back old episodes. I'm sure that it's in there somewhere in the archives.
And by the way, I'm about to crack another beer. I'm about to have a White Oak High Life from Cigar City Brewing, which is Cigar City is a pretty awesome Florida brewery. They're up in Tampa. Now, High Life, the normal High Life is their IPA. So the White Oak High Life is a special one, and I normally only see this as bars. I popped into my local Total Wine today, and they had some cans in their specialty section, so I grabbed everything they had. I'm about to crack one of these sumbitches right now.
Yummy, yummy stuff.
Goddamn right it is. It's an IPA, but it's got like the harsh part smoothed off.
That's good. That's exactly how I enjoy my IPAs as well. So.
Well, I remember when you were kind of really getting into craft beer, and I started recommending IPAs to you. You described IPAs as, how did you put it? It was like sucking on a pine cone.
Yeah, it's like a pine cone dipped in cough syrup.
And I realized after you said that I'm kind of okay with that vibe. Like, I'm going to go ahead and take that.
Yeah. I like a little bit less bitter, a little bit more crispness. So I guess kind of, even if you're just going for a straight up pale ale as opposed to an IPA. But yeah, that's more my speed as far as, what I look for and the flavor of it. So
we sort of in our own rambling fashion. By the way, I love that we haven't lost the bombcast style in the months that we've been off. We're like, no, we're going to keep the show short and we're just doing the Matt and Zach thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what happens. It's a conversation.
It's here, we'll kind of set this shit up for people a little bit. It's like, so this is your first time listening to the show, or maybe you missed it. So, Matt and I are family. We're cousins. And honestly, frankly, we're more like brothers. But, whatever. We're family. That's when we're blood. When he was a little baby, he actually lived with me and my parents. His folks did too. We're 14 years apart. I haven't seen you in what year did you graduate from high school?
2009, so it's been about 9 years.
So we haven't seen each other in 9 years. So this is how we hang out. Is sitting here on Skype talking about wrestling.
Exactly, and other stuff, as you can tell.
Yeah, we kind of get all over the place here. So listen, we're gonna jump into the G1. We're gonna sort of run through the standings and get caught up with where we're at today, and we're gonna talk about the matches from this weekend. There's some amazing fucking matches, but I want to unveil a new segment. And this is I'm gonna let Surly Zach out because I got to be like I got to be a businessman, and I got to be like I got to be like just like a civil gentleman in my everyday life, but I don't want to be right now. So this new segment is called Stupid Fucking Wrestling Tweet of the Week. Okay? So, I'm not going to like name the names of the people that do this stuff because I don't feel the urge of giving anybody any extra attention, but I got to call out some dumb mark ass motherfuckers for the dumb fucking shit that they say. And unfortunately, these end up being the fans that only like WWE, and these are the sort of fans that like get it's not enough that they like WWE. Like, they're pissed that you like something else and you think something else is good. Like, I think New Japan right now is the best fucking wrestling ever. And I feel confident saying that because I've been watching wrestling for 36 goddamn years now. So I think I know what I'm talking about. But these are the sort of people that'll be like, like Zack Ryder will have like a 2-star match at like, whatever off-brand WWE pay-per-view. And somebody will chime in, it would have been 5 stars at the Tokyo Dome. Yeah, go fuck yourself. So this tweet right here, okay. Find it real funny how ex-WWE superstars get on the independent scene after leaving and talk shit about the company, but who the fuck was half you ex-superstars on the indie scene before WWE? For example, at Ryback, at Cody Rhodes, and the list goes on. IJS. I'm just saying.
I would imagine, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so you're shit talking one of the biggest fucking wrestling stars in the world, and you're just saying. Cody responds, by the way. Cody responds because, dude, he's a fucking son of a plumber, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's
as opposed to Jimmy Buffett, son of a sailor.
Yeah,
it's neither here nor there.
Okay, I'm gonna get on that in a second, but Cody responds because it's Cody. I love Cody so much, man. Cody's, why am I tagged in this? I regularly praise WWE in my time there. Never heard Cody say a negative fucking thing about WWE.
True, yeah. And, obviously, you could raise some ire about such an outlandish statement, but he, chooses to play the, the really low-key, really even-handed route, and he really comes off much better for it, taking the high road and making this guy look even more like a jackass. So bravo, Cody.
And by the way, Cody's busy, I don't know, planning All In, that show that sold out, and what was that, under 30 minutes?
Yeah, insane. I remember you trying to get tickets and being like, really? Like, there's no way that all the good seats are gone already. And indeed they were.
I overpaid for like the top level seats.
Wow.
And I am normally, and you know this about me, I'm normally not the person that will do I just want to be there. Because I like to be ringside because, dude, I can watch a show from home. Any show I want to see, I can watch from home.
Mm-hmm. Right.
But if I'm going to be there, I want to be ringside. I've been ringside for some cool shit, right? I've been ringside for, for a couple New Japan shows. Actually, yeah, 3 New Japan shows now. Been ringside for NXT. And that's just, dude, that's how I want to see wrestling now. Which reminds me, and I told you this, MLW, which is Court Bauer, who used to be a writer with WWE, is a longtime on and off wrestling promoter, is the brains behind the MLW podcast network, which gives you like the, Bruce Pritchard show and the Tony Schiavone and all that stuff, right? Conrad. What's Conrad's last name?
Thompson.
Conrad Thompson. Oh shit! You guys, you and Conrad are definitely related.
Probably somewhere in there. I'd fucking hate Alabama, but
well,
OHIO, motherfucker, till I die.
Yeah, you live.
But that's neither here nor there.
Yeah, you live in Erie, PA.
Well, it's like 12 miles from the state line. It barely counts.
Well, I ain't that far from Cuba, but I ain't Cuban, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to bitch about Jimmy Buffett for a second, So I'm feeling it. Like I got my podcast vibe back, Matt. It's like There's like, I ain't even fucking around. Okay, so Jimmy Buff. I've never liked the music anyway, man.
Right.
I just think it's just. And I'm the guy that's like, okay, listen, I'm a musician and I'm a producer, and I don't think that there is a single bad genre of music out there. I think every genre of music has some value. Dude, there's country that I love. There's hip hop that I'm not even saying that like there's hip hop that I love is like a shocking statement, because like me saying there's some country I love is a shocking statement, right? There's just a lot of shit out there that I really enjoy. Dude, you know Portishead? I fucking love Portishead. That shit just melts my fucking brain. But fuck Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah.
No, I ain't done. I ain't done. Don't talk yet. Don't talk yet.
Okay, go ahead.
So my favorite beach in all of South Florida is Hollywood Beach. I fucking love Hollywood, Florida, man. Hollywood, Florida is so fucking cool. It's so bohemian. The downtown area is the best. You got all these bars. You got all these restaurants. The beach, man. You got this big, long boardwalk. You got all these local restaurants. Like, you'll literally have an Armenian place next to a Greek place. It's all locally owned, but then there's like a Subway and a Haagen-Dazs, right? Otherwise, it's local. So some motherfuckers come in right here on the boardwalk, on my fucking boardwalk, and they build a Jimmy Buffett Margaritaville. Now, it's bad enough that there's a fucking Margaritaville at City Walk in Orlando at Universal Studios. And Universal Studios is like my fucking happy place, right? But you go to my other fucking happy place, Hollywood Beach, and you build a fucking Jimmy Buffett resort, which is, in and of itself, is just like lame as fuck. But on top of that, what you're going to do is you're going to end up driving the rent all around. You're going to drive all the fucking local businesses out. And then you're going to have all the fucking chain businesses come in. And then within 5 years, all those fucking buildings are going to be empty again. And then Hollywood Beach is going to be fucking abandoned. And you're going to have this fucking eyesore of a resort. This is what happened in fucking Coconut Grove in Florida with Coco Walk, where like half of the fucking that area of Coconut Grove ends up abandoned. And now you have this eyesore of a fucking open air mall, and now they have to go and like renovate the whole thing. And this is what we do in South Florida. This is what we do in South Florida. You take these cool places that still have some local vibe left, and you have to build some fucking stupid ass resort, or you have to build some fucking condo towers and all that bullshit. All right. So that's why I got to rant about Jimmy Buffett. I'm sorry, Matt. Please continue.
I have some personal experience in that field as well.
Do tell.
When I was 15 or 16, my dad roped me into starting a Jimmy Buffett cover band under the notion that we would be able to be playing like yacht clubs and stuff like that for white collar crowds that would, pay us more money for gigs.
Yeah, so you know what's funny about...
And we never left the basement, and it was a travesty, and double fuck Jimmy Buffett just for that alone.
Yeah, so by the way,
much of my prime teenage years. Thank you. Fuck you.
So by the way, for what it's worth, I expect more out of JT than that. I really do. So that's number one. Whenever I see JT again, I'm bringing this up.
Well, he got roped into it by a trusted friend himself, so...
Okay, so JT's fine. Fuck that trusted friend then. But on top of that, here's what I can tell you, so that when you're talking about that quote-unquote white-collar crowd that they're going to pay, no, bro, trust me. I run in those fucking crowds. Those are the least likely people to pay. Those are the people that want you to do shit free for an opportunity.
That's really disheartening.
Yeah, I randomly will see somebody like posting some shit on Twitter like if you want to do something cool for a living, you have to accept the fact that you may have to do it free for a while. And I'm like, listen, man, you want to know the shit I've been doing free? I'm in a heavy metal band. Mm-hmm. I've produced other bands. I got a podcast. I'm about to start another one. That's the shit I do for free. And you know who I do it for? I do it for me. And in the case of this podcast, I do it for you too. In the case of my band, I do it for my dude Frank. Me and Frank do that shit together. That's my best friend. We fucking go out and make some heavy metal together. If I go produce another band, it's because I love the dudes and gals in the band. Dude, I don't go fucking work for another single human being free. I just, man, in my line of work, my time is my money, right? Like literally, my time is my money. And I'm like decades into this shit at this point. Like when I have somebody, I saw people roll up on me today that want me to start working for free, and it's like, bro, no, dude, no, that ain't how this works, man.
Yeah. Well, did you listen to that panel discussion with Stan Hansen, Barbara Goodish, Bruce Mitchell, et al.
I haven't had a
From
chance to
the
listen to that yet. But by the way, when I saw that Bruce Mitchell is as tall or taller than Stan Hansen, I'm like, this distorted my perception of reality.
he was wearing lifts.
But go ahead, Bruce Mitchell, Stan Hansen,
But
Barbara
yeah,
Goodish.
so he Bruce didn't really talk much at all. But the one thing he did say was that it's a lesson that wrestlers today can learn is that Brody always knew his value and always made sure to make sure that the promoters knew that as well, and all the reputation that he had for walking out on promoters or what have you, like that was all because he wanted to make sure he was getting his due.
Now, I don't want to sit there and tell somebody that's struggling to make the rent and is one missed paycheck away from, getting evicted or losing their car or whatever. But I will say, this is the message I got to give to everybody. Know your worth and don't accept less. Anyway, so that was a nice side rant we got onto because of the stupid fucking tweet of the week. As I continue to torture myself on Twitter, we'll bring more of these up, but my Twitter patience may be running out.
Yeah, if I see anything, I'll run it by you as well, because
Okay.
I'm sure I will.
Okay. So let's get back to New Japan. We're going to jump into discussing the G1 here. We're going to get everybody caught up.
Yeah.
So let's run down. First, we're going to run down A block. A block is really disappointing. The blocks are horrifically unbalanced. I mean, this has been an amazing G1, but like tomorrow morning is another A block show, and I'm just sort of like,
Yeah, unfortunately. There's some nights where it feels like it has potential just because there's a couple matchups that seem more intriguing, but most nights it's kind of mediocre by comparison to the B block.
okay, so let's start running down this A block. All right, Maddie, we have got Tanahashi and Evil both at 8 points.
Yeah, I don't know what to say. I love Evil. He's great.
You know what I have to say about that?
Hmm.
Everything is evil.
Everything. Yes. If you don't, I highly recommend going through and watching the post-match subtitled stuff. They've gone to now. They'll take the promos from during the live events themselves. Like, say for example, they'll do like Okada's promo from his last night of A block against Yoshihashi. They'll take that and cut it in with the post-match stuff, and they'll subtitle that as well. So every promo from that whole night will get subtitled either in English or Japanese for the non-speaking audiences. And it's a really awesome little addendum, for those who are trying to figure out what these characters are all about and stuff.
New Japan, in a lot of regards, is stepping it up that way.
Yeah, it's a lot more accessible. It's a lot more accommodating than it ever really has been. So kudos for that as well.
So continuing with A block, Kazuchika Okada, Switchblade, Jay White, and Minoru Suzuki are all locked in at 6 points.
Yeah, that's that's a lot of talent with a lot of potential to go either way.
Here's the thing about Switchblade. He kicked his shit off with 3 wins in a row, which was like really, really impressive. And by the way, he's beating like Tanahashi and Okada. And he's being a rotten fucker while doing it. And then he runs up against Suzuki. And that's what's great is when a heel runs up into a bigger heel, because you're never going to be a more rotten motherfucker than Minoru Suzuki.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
Um, Moving on, Togi Makabe, Michael Elgin, and Bad Luck Fale are all tied at 4. This is worth noting. I don't know what the fuck is going on with the Tongans. I'm going to go with Dave Meltzer's theory, and that basically that New Japan thinks that a great way to get heat is by intentionally having bad matches, like with a bunch of interference, because everybody's over in the G1 because everybody's having great matches, but I'm kind of fucking over it.
Yeah. Another thing from those post match pressers is that Fale and Tom Otonga have both just like outright said, "Yeah, who gives a fuck about these points? We're just here to fuck people up." So their words, not mine. I never used that many f-bombs in such quick succession.
Well, I do, and as that's you've obviously heard that on the show so far tonight.
Yeah, I was being sarcastic. I'll rip them off when need be.
So, continuing at 2 points in the A block, we have Yoshihashi and Hangman Page. Listen, let me say, I'm not a Yoshihashi fan, like, at all. I'm not a Yoshihashi fan. I am, however, a gigantic Hangman Page fan. This is his first G1, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm very thoroughly convinced that Hangman is a very, very serious main eventer in the fairly near future. And not that I want to see him going to WWE, but if WWE, I mean, I'm fairly certain Hunter has some sense about him, but they should actually sign and then plan their future around Hangman Page, because he's so young, he's so talented, and he has such a good look. And again, I don't like or care about Yoshihashi.
Dude, Okada doesn't care about Yoshihashi.
And they're stablemates.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, we'll talk about that when we get to the match. But Okada had some choice words. Yeah, and you talking about Hangman going to WWE, potentially some, years down the road. Could you imagine a Hangman Seth Rollins match?
Oh, goddamn, dude, I just came.
Like that. That would be so goddamn ridiculous. Like, yeah.
Or, maybe you ease Hangman and you have him and Balor as a tag team.
Yeah, you got that that Biz Cliz connection. So
you do the Balor Club. You fucking do you do Balor. You do Page. Bring the Good Brothers in. Do the Balor Club. You just
do something with the Good Brothers, for God's sake. Anything.
I know. Let's stop talking about WWE.
Yeah, please.
Listen, put the summary. I don't want to see Page go there, but if you guys got a bit of fucking sense, sign the guy and push him to the fucking moon. Yeah. So A block. I'm trying to figure out who's going to win this. Obviously, I don't think Evil's going to win the A block. It would be interesting if he did, and Tana in some ways makes some sense. I actually think Suzuki is going to end up pulling this one out.
I could see that. I'm not rolling out Switchblade. I got a feeling about him. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's just because he came out so hot out the gate, taking out the two probably perceived top guys in the block, going into it. So anytime you do that, you're, even if you run out of steam later on, you're still going to be a top candidate. So
yeah, and
I wouldn't rule that out either.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I remember we were talking about this around Wrestle Kingdom earlier this year. It's so Jay White comes back and he's the Switchblade character, and it's like, he's too good looking. He's too much of a pretty boy, white meat baby face. Bro, he is feeling his gimmick now.
Yeah, he's really, really come around with that. And, no more example needed other than that match at the Cow Palace. But
yeah.
Even the match with Okada too, these guys are stable mates, and he's just ripping into him and just being so sadistic and so goddamn rude and just yeah, everything about him. He's really he's really come into his own with that.
And he's and it was not a planned moment, but staying in heel tradition, he ran like a little bitch from Josh Barnett.
Yeah, I remember texting you about that because you were live there, of course, at the venue, and I was like, dude, I don't know if that was a work or a shoot. Like, that's one of those really fun moments as a fan when you come across something like that, and it makes you really question, was this planned? Was this not planned? Like, what's going on here?
And by the way, I am a gigantic Josh Barnett fan. So to see him standing in the middle of that ring, looking dapper as fuck in his suit, and then just rocking an amazing beard, about to lay the fucking beating on Jay White, and it's like, bro, you know what? You headlined Wrestle Kingdom. I'm ready for you to get back in the ring.
Yeah, do it up. That'd be quite a rub for Mr. Switchblade there, and there's so much talent to go around on that roster that that would be a good place for him. I feel like for a major card like a Wrestle Kingdom or a Dominion next year.
And on a side note, Mr. Barnett is one of the few Gaijin to have ever headlined a January 4th Tokyo Dome show.
That's that hasn't been around for 40 years like WrestleMania has, so it's a much more exclusive type of.
Well, it's been around since 90. Let me see. Can you let me see how many of the four you can name?
Oh God.
I already gave you one, and you know another one.
Right. So, Scott Norton.
Yep.
Okay.
Obviously Barnett.
Yeah. I don't want to say Brock, but maybe Brock.
Brock against young Shinsuke.
Oh no shit. And I don't know. It's got to be. Is it Omega?
Yeah, dude. Okay. What the fuck?
No shit. Of course it's Omega.
So there's been four Gaijin that have headlined the January 4th Tokyo Dome show. And I looked this up the other day, and I was just sort of like skimming through. So I could, if I'm wrong, just tell me nicely, or else I won't admit I'm wrong on air, and then I'll like block you on Twitter. And the two that have been champions have been Scott Norton and Brock Lesnar. And so that's interesting as we're leading into the B block conversation. Because, not a lot of, Gaijin headline Wrestle Kingdom. It's even rare that they have the title. And something else that doesn't happen, Matt, the title does not change hands on the January 4th. The last time that happened, I think, was like Wrestle Kingdom 5.
No doubt.
So you've got, the G1 gives you the top contender. Dude, they haven't been winning.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a long, grueling task.
So it's interesting. It's interesting. And the thing is like, what is Ghetto building up to?
Man, it could be a lot. They've got so much talent.
So let's jump into B block. So the reason I kind of brought this up is that the best bout machine, Kenny Omega, the Terminator, the Cleaner, is at 10 points. He is undefeated so far. And there's been at least a couple matches that I'm kind of looking back over this. I could have made an argument for him losing any of his 5 matches.
Yeah, it's been quite the litany of opponents there in those matches.
So let me run through this real quick. First night was Naito. And that's just one of the fucking best wrestling matches you're ever going to see, right?
Yeah, and that's a toss-up on any given night.
It was amazing. Obviously, Kenny went over. Those two are gold together. And I'm still a ways away from being tired of seeing those guys go at it. Dude, Kenny and Goto. I'm going to take the moment to talk about Hiroshi Goto. Dude, Goto has had an amazing tournament. I'm not a fan of Goto. Like, I get intellectually that he is an amazing, amazing wrestler. To me, he's lacking something in the charisma department. It just may be that he needs to be like a blatant heel. But, dude, he's having an amazing tournament.
He really is. He's been putting on some excellent matches. And, I point to that moment, and I think I've mentioned this to you in the past, when they when they did their match, Omega and Goto, that is, um, Goto tossed this chair at Omega as he was doing a springboard dive from the ring to the floor. And Goto just picked up a chair, tossed it right at Omega as he's leaping off, and grounded him in the ring. And the crowd just erupted in boos in that moment. And as soon as it happened, Goto really soaked up the moment, came after the camera, and just mugged it and shoved the cameraman aside or what have you. And for that brief couple seconds, that was like a real glimmer of what this guy could potentially be as a heel, and as the most interesting he's looked in the whole 4 or 5 years I've been watching New Japan
I,
and
I
seeing his matches.
agreed. He's got awesome theme music too.
He does. Yes, this is true.
Kenny,
Most of those guys do, though.
yeah. So Kenny beat Juice. Juice actually beat Kenny last year, which was sort of big moment for Juice. Juice is not having a great tournament, but the storyline has been that he's got a broken hand, so he's a little limited. And then
Another a great job of Kevin Kelly, by the way, talking about how they announce at every match of Juice's beforehand that if Juice uses his cast, then he'll be disqualified. And Kevin Kelly, pretty much laid out that was a ploy from the office to try to keep Juice from participating at all, and making Juice sound like a really gutsy dude for even sticking it out and participating at all.
that reminds me, dude. Not Juice. Kevin Kelly has been like absolute money. This tournament. It just. I think this is the guy that The Rock used to make fun of for not ever having eaten pie.
Yeah. Well, that's the main stigma about the guy. You can tell that he's enthusiastic. You can tell that he's knowledgeable, but yeah, there's just some kind of, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Liar Liar, where Jim Carrey's talking about Jerry, the other guy, being Magoo, and he just goes on and on about how Magoo Jerry is, and I would definitely describe Kevin Kelly as Magoo. But yeah, he's really started to just surpass that, and his analysis has come, shown through and really surpassed all that. Really kind of put it all aside. So, and it helps too that Callis isn't there to put himself over and really just kind of take all the oxygen away as he's trying to call his match down the middle or what have you.
And by the way, Rocky is not perfect. I wouldn't call Rocky great, but he's been good in his role.
Yeah, he's done well. He's added his own analysis to things too. You can tell that he's showing up prepared. He's got notes. He's got anecdotes. Going into these matches, and he's good for a couple tidbits or or two per show.
So, and we'll talk about this match in more detail in a few minutes. Kenny and Sonata. I mean,
yeah.
So let's not hang on that. So let's go through the rest of the block. Naito has 8. Naito's only loss has been against Kenny. Naito against Tama was not a great match, but I enjoyed that for Tama getting his comeuppance. I actually think Naito is going to win this block. We've got Sonata, Zack Sabre Jr., and Ibushi all at 6. God damn, if you want to have 3 guys tied together, right?
Yeah, those are the 3 guys who I would say are right on the cusp of becoming top guys, and it's really apparent.
I am a huge fan of all 3. Obviously, Ibushi is the oldest of the 3. You can't tell by looking at him because he looks like he's about 27 years old. But these guys, in a lot of ways, are... Well, I tell you what, Sonata and Zack Sabre Jr. actually are the future of wrestling. Ibushi has some really good stuff in front of him, too. We've got Goto and Ishii both at 4. Dude, those guys are both having amazing tournaments.
Yeah, those are two guys who you really want to have on your roster because you know that they'll give all their opponents all the shine in these matches, and um, they'll have no problem taking L's left and right, and making these other wrestlers in this block look fantastic in doing so.
So we'll talk about some amazing shit, especially from Ishii when we cover this weekend. But these two, when they faced each other, I mean, is literally one of the best wrestling matches you'll ever see.
Yeah, yeah, no question.
And then in the basement, you've got Juice and Yano and Tama. Tama is obvious. Tama's not having a great tournament, and part of that's intentional. Part of that is just, I don't know. I expect more out of him. I'm actually a big fan of Tama. He's actually a really good wrestler, but there's something off there. Tama has beat Juice, and then that's it. There's been some DQs. He got kicked in the nuts by, Naito. Yano has been fun because Yano has been going back and forth between being his roguish self and then being the actual legit wrestler that he is in real life.
Yeah, he's got some skills. Some really nice takedowns, floatovers, and the covers, things like that. Like he's really letting that amateur background shine through too, as well as his typical chicanery that we've all known and loved all these years.
So I've seen some people that, or heard some people that I know and respect when it comes to New Japan that have actually spoken really highly of Yano in this tournament, and I agree. I mean, since I've been watching New Japan again, this is I have a lot of fun with Yano, even when it does get tired, but I've been enjoying this. And then, jumping ahead to Juice. So Juice's only win has been against Yano, and the big thing with Juice is that he's got a broken hand. I loved the whole sequence with him and Yano with the turnbuckle pads.
Yeah, that was an absolute blast. That whole match was just just tons of fun. It's nice to have a change of pace when you have all these guys going so hard in all these matches, and then break it up with some dueling buckle pads and wrist tape shenanigans and all that fun stuff.
And that's why the Yano stuff works, is because that's not what New Japan normally does. So, Maddie, my pick for B block is Naito. Who do you think is going to come out on top?
Oh, it's a good question. My head says Naito, but my heart says Ibushi. Ibushi's had so many just fantastic performances already that I feel like he's really earned it.
That is not a bad pick. On that note, let's move on to this weekend. Okay, so jumping into night 8 of G1 Climax 2018. Is that dramatic enough?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so night 8. What was that? Was that the Thursday show?
Night 8 would have been. Let me double check. I believe so. Yes, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday they ran all in a row. Yeah.
Okay, so let's start running through this. This is B block action in Nagata. Kick this off with Goto and Yano. This was a quick match, as it should have been. Goto won in about, it was less than 3 minutes.
Yeah. Yano, being his typical Yano self, he grabbed the buckle pad before the bell even rang, ripped it off, and backfired for him pretty quickly. Goto was able to whip him into the exposed buckle, and so much for fair play.
Yeah.
And it's been Yano's moniker this tournament. And
fair play.
Yeah, that'll come into play later with the other match that he had on Saturday. So, pretty quick. Goto, he sets up some kind of almost like Kamigoye-esque headbutts that lead to
I love
a
those those short arm headbutts, by the way.
yeah, really nice. That leads to the Ushiguroshi and the GTR, and that's all she wrote.
One of the this actually reminds me, one of the things that I like that Kevin Kelly is doing this year, and this is the what Wade Keller would call the sports like presentation. He's talking about the number of minutes that guys have been wrestling and how, like, in a certain match, it's like they need to have a short match because how many minutes they've got into it. And it's fucking brilliant. And not only could not most wrestling promotions book a tournament like this, they wouldn't have enough goddamn common sense to talk about how many minutes the guys had wrestled.
Yeah, and that might be something that Kevin Kelly's contributing independently. And if it is, more power to him. That's awesome.
Again, dude is doing is doing a great job. He is, for lack of a better term, all in. And yeah. I'm hoping that, not that I'm that into World Tag League because the heavyweight tag division in New Japan is nothing spectacular. But I hope the whole, I hope the whole World Tag League has English commentary.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Bring in guest guys if you need to. Bring in Rocky. Bring in David Finlay. They've got plenty of Gaijin who can talk. Juice, for that matter. They got guys who can sit at that desk and do a really good bang up job with Kevin Kelly, just shooting the breeze with him as he talks and provide a wrestler's perspective.
For what it's worth, Juice and Finlay actually need to be a tag team in the World Tag League.
Yeah, absolutely. I would wholeheartedly endorse that.
Who I actually enjoyed on commentary was Chuck Taylor.
Yeah, I don't really. Yeah, he was kind of witty. He had some little quips. I don't remember anything specifically, but I remember thinking, yeah, that's kind of funny.
Yeah, he was good. He was good.
Yeah.
So Tetsuya Naito and Tama Tonga. What I really like about this match, I don't think we need to go in depth, is so it's you have the typical bullshit interference that you've been getting with all the Tongan matches. I love Bushi coming in. Fale goes to get him in the grenade, and then he counters with a mist. I marked so fucking hard when I saw that, dude.
Yeah, you think as soon as Fale grabs Bushi by the throat, oh, here he goes, he's done for. And just because of the huge size difference, and when you least expect it, Bushi, comes through with the miss. That's pretty cool.
And that may be about the only time you ever see me cheer for Bushi.
Yeah, I'm a fan just because of the presentation. Yeah, I think he looks awesome.
He does have a good look. He does have a good look. On a side note, did you hear Ultimo Dragon on Talk is Jericho this week?
It's been in the queue since I downloaded it, since it got downloaded, and I haven't gotten around to it.
Well, definitely check it out because it's just fun to know that those two are like BFFs.
Yeah, that'll be cool. It's definitely set aside, for once I finally do get caught up, because between the G1 and that whole dad thing I got to do, that I have the pleasure of doing. I don't put my daughter over enough. She's the light of my life. So
first of all, your daughter has a great name because you named her after one of my cats. Number two, she is goddamn adorable because I see all the pictures that Allie posts. And number three, we've been on the phone a couple times recently, and I hear her just jabbering in the background, and I'm like, that's a good baby. I can tell that's a good baby just by the jabbers.
Yeah, she's I rave about her. I put her over to everybody who sees her. She only really cries when she's got something serious going on. It's always easy to figure out. She either needs a burp, she needs to go to sleep, or she needs a bottle, or she needs changed. It's so easy. Like the newborn phase was kind of rough, but now that we've gotten past that, she's just a breeze.
So one of the interesting things in my adulthood is, while I am not a father myself, a lot of my really close friends have had kids. And what's made me happy is that my friends are very consistently awesome parents, and then they have awesome babies too. I'm like, how did this happen?
Yeah, it's got to be great to be able to, interact with somebody else's awesome baby, and be able to then move on with your life. Like I'm totally cool with doing the dad thing. Like I cherish it, I relish it, but it must be nice to be able to just interact with them whenever it's convenient, and then go on your life as well. So it's cool.
Oh yeah, and I get to be like the cool like pseudo uncle or whatever. And by the way, I already know like if I have a baby, I'm gonna have like the nightmare monster baby that nobody wants to be around.
Yeah, well, I mean, Olivia was like that for the first couple months. She was just, she had a little bit of a growth restriction, and her stomach bothered her a lot, and she was a colic baby for a little while there. But ever since we moved past that, she's just been an absolute dream.
Oh, I'm not talking newborn. I'm talking like real life version of Dexter or some shit. All right.
Some Damien Omen shit going on.
Yeah. Sit. Domine. Anyway. So after the whole run-in shit, so Tama hits Naito with a low blow has been a thing in this tournament. So not only does Naito get him back with a low blow, Naito hits him with a pop-up low blow.
Yeah, that was a novel little twist on an old favorite.
That made me very, very happy. Naito hits the Destino for the win. He does his pose, and then he spits at Rocky.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that he called him a cabron in there. God, that was like the the most redneck pronunciation of a Spanish word that you could possibly imagine. Damn old cabron.
Damn old cabron. Get one of them some bitches up in here. I don't want no cabron up in this muff. Anyway.
So yeah, there was a Lij member who was conspicuous by his absence.
Would that happen to be Seiya Sanada?
Indeed, it would. Yes. So a little bit of tension there, or at least a tease of it. So we'll see how that escalates in the coming months.
Yeah, well, actually, I think it's not even going to be coming months. I think it's going to be in the coming days because you're going to have Naito and Sonata facing off very soon in B Block.
Yeah, that'll be one that I'm, making sure that I follow the post match and everything as far as the words that get thrown back and forth between those two. I know that Sonata tends to be a man of few words, but I'm sure Naito will gladly give us his opinion on the matter. So it'll be interesting to look at as we head into that match.
By the way, before we move on to the next match, so I had my dudes over on Friday night. We're doing a little like Asian food and beer and heavy metal vinyl night, and I put some G1 matches on for them. Because I haven't really like spammed my friends with this shit enough yet, and it's sort of like, you know what, this stuff's good. So you know what, I'm gonna feed you, I'm gonna give you beer and metal, but you got to watch wrestling with me. And so I already mentioned earlier my dude Frank, who's who's my cohort in Northern Crown, and basically like essentially my best friend walking the planet right now. And he saw in one of the Tama's matches, he saw Tama hit the Tongan twist. And it blew his mind. Like he needed me to rewind it so he could see that move again. And I'm like, I don't know, dude. It was just kind of a spinning neck breaker.
Yeah, that's really nothing to write home about. But if you're not really too keen on everything, if you're not really initiated, it might come off as something a little bit elaborate or
it
fancy.
does. Well, so Frank is a little bit older than you, but not much at all. So he grew up with the Attitude Era stuff, and he was definitely like, it's like all the kids were into it, and he was not at all. So I have been his introduction to it, and I've been trying to get him to go to shows. Like I was going to take him to San Francisco, tried to get him to go to All In, and then I told this to you, I haven't mentioned this on the show yet. MLW's got a show going on down here. I started talking about MLW earlier and got sidetracked. MLW is doing a show down here in September, right after Labor Day. And they're doing a War Games match, dude. And me and the crew, we're fucking ringside for that shit. And I really wanted to bring Frank for that because dude, if I'm going to introduce you to live wrestling, you might as well be there for a War Games match.
Yeah, that's pretty epic. I wonder, what factions are going to face off in that, because I don't really know who all MLW has as far as teams are concerned. So that'll
Well,
be
I mean,
interesting.
like Loki is their champ right now. Sammy Callahan's there. Filthy Tom Lawler is one of their top guys as well. One of the things I'm excited about in seeing them is that Pentagon and Ray Phoenix are their tag champ, and it's like, dude, holy fucking shit! I get to see Pentagon Jr. and Ray Phoenix
Together at the same damn time. If I may,
I know.
if I may quote Future.
So it's yeah. Again, so I got my little, my little wrestling crew going with me. We're all up ringside for that shit. So it's gonna be cool, man. And yeah, I'm kind of digging my wrestling tourism life.
Yeah, I'm happy for you. It's good
I
stuff.
yeah. Well, you make yourself available. I'm going to bring you to some of this shit, but you got to be available.
Yeah, therein lies the problem.
We did
It's a
just do
good
like,
problem to have, though. I'd rather be busy than be twiddling my
no,
thumbs.
homie, homie, you got a good life.
Yeah, I have no complaints. I'm the happiest I've ever been. So
So moving on to, not that I'm dismissing your happiness, but moving on to Tomohiro Ishii versus Zack Sabre Jr. Dude, these
well,
guys,
this contributes to my happiness. These guys are both badass. So
it, it,
it's all related.
but so by the way, I am glad that there was that day that I just PayPal'd you money. Like, dude, just fucking subscribe already.
Yeah, it was a necessary purchase for sure.
And if you remember, you had been hitting me up about doing a podcast for a while before that. And if not for that, there's no Bombcast.
Yeah. And it wouldn't be anywhere near as good if we were to do something and I was still just like watching Access shows. It wouldn't be feasible.
No, it just wouldn't be quite right. As I said, let me cut the promo and hype ourselves up a little more. This is the best New Japan Pro Wrestling analysis and takes on this side of the Pacific. Flying Gaijin Bombcast.
I sure as hell hope so. If not, then why are we here?
Listen, man, nobody dedicates their time. Listen, Meltzer, he's got the sources. I love his opinions. Todd Martin, he's spot on this stuff. Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive on top of it. But you know what? You and I are the ones that sit there and do a 2.5-hour show about this shit.
Yeah, and really try our best to, get into the why, how, every angle. We're really diving deep into it.
I agree. So enough putting ourselves. Actually, I'm not. We should never stop putting ourselves over. So Ishii and Sabre Jr. So listen, man, these guys are always awesome together. I saw them against each other last year at the first G1 specials. In the U.S. title tournament. They've had a couple other matches since. You had actually Ishii beating Zack Sabre for the Rev Pro British title WrestleMania weekend. These two are goddamn magic together. So, Maddie, jump in and talk about this just for a little bit.
Yeah. Trying to think of, how exactly the opening sequence went. It was just mad scrambles on the mat from what I remember. And each time, they end up just stalemating completely, and we get that opening little technical sequence, and then we immediately get into just the viciousness that each of them carry with them. ZSJ just starts mushing Ishii's face with his hand, just kind of pie facing him, like egging him on, and that's the last thing you would want to do if you're a rational human being. But if you're Zack Sabre Jr., you think, why the fuck not? Because
why would you ever instigate Tomohiro Ishii? I don't understand.
You gotta be an arrogant son of a bitch, right?
And let me just step back for a second and give Taka Michinoku full credit for being just a superior hype man.
Yeah. It seems like it's a pretty regimented promo. Pretty, it's got its formula, but it's effective as all hell, and the audiences really respond to it every time. So
Yeah, he does the whole thing. He tells the other person to just come on down. He does the just tap out. No, dude, listen. Let's say we wanted to start like an international like hip hop group. Taka would be our hype man.
hell yeah, I'm down with that. No big clocks though.
No. I mean, you don't gotta have a big clock to be the hype man.
Right. So yeah, getting back to the match though. So when Ishii, fires back these awesome chops, those throat chops that just look so brutal, and especially when it's a little scrawny man like ZSJ, he's gonna eat those, and it's gonna look extremely painful.
Um, yeah, I don't have anything smart to say about this match other than just these two together are insane. And you know what? That ending, we'll just jump to the end. That ending sequence, we're talking an armbar triangle, deadlift power bomb, and then like ZSJ hits that armbar, like he kind of rolls it over and hits Ishii with that armbar, and that was one of the nastiest arm cranks I have ever seen.
Yeah. Anybody who's seen the old school Pride days knows that that Rampage spot with I think it was Ricardo Almeida, if I'm not mistaken. No, not Ricardo Almeida. Ricardo Arona. There we go. Digging into my old MMA files for that one. So that's that obviously happened in Japan as an iconic moment. So that gets called back to a lot with submission guys, and this is no exception. So you see the big deadlift, the larger guy picking up the guy into the scrawnier, smaller guy into the power bomb, and you think, oh man, this guy's going to be knocked out. But you get that little bit of irony where Sabre Jr. is able to hold on, and yeah, it's like a what do you call that? The who's it named after? The backwards face down armbar. Fujiwara.
Is that the Fujiwara
star? Yeah, I think so. If I'm not mistaken.
We're gonna go with that because Fujiwara, man.
Yeah, but I don't think I ever seen him bend an arm back in such an ungodly looking angle. So,
on a side note, if you ever want a really nasty challenge, wrestle against Fujiwara in one of the old Fire Pro games.
that sounds like something I would just tear my remaining hair out. So, I'd pass.
Yes, you would.
I'm not good with those games in the first place. So,
dude, when the PS4 version comes out in like a month, I'm gonna finally give you like a proper Fire Pro tutorial.
you'll have to, yeah, because it's gonna be a blast and a half having all those New Japan guys in, finally in a video game that's gonna do it justice.
So I was at CEO and I played Fire Pro. I was just some kid there at the table. I ended up beating him. I trying to remember who I don't remember who I used. One of us was Suzuki. I think it was Suzuki and Elgin, something like that. It's a really good match. Ended up running like 30 minutes. It was super awesome. The content was like crazy impressive. Like I was like super pumped by it. And normally I'd say that was the alcohol talking, but I've been playing Fire Pro since I was like 19 years old. So I'm actually not that easily impressed at this point.
Well, I mean, that's 2 decades of playing a video game like that.
So I want to mention this real quick because you were talking about Pride, and we're obviously we have and we'll continue to talk about Minoru Suzuki. Listen, I'm not here to make Dana White any more money, but UFC Fight Pass actually has a really awesome selection of old shows from MMA organizations like Pride and pancrase. So that means you can see like old Sakuraba matches. You can see old Minoru Suzuki matches. I would really highly suggest you get on that shit because there's actually a lot of guys that are either are or have been big MMA stars or big wrestling stars that came through Pancrase or Pride or other similar organizations. And that shit's not that expensive, and it's what you feel about modern MMA is irrelevant. There's enough good stuff there that I you should just really go for it.
That'd be cool. That's the one thing that, like my main source of watching MMA is through having like Fox Sports on my Sling, and they'll show lots of UFC from previous years, but they really don't go into um, promotions like that. So that would be, yeah, it'd be beneficial just for that alone.
So Juice versus Kenny. There's not a lot to say here. Obviously, Juice beat Kenny last year. Things are a little different. Juice is the U.S. champion, but he has a broken hand. Now Kenny is Kenny's the world champion. And tell me what you think about this, Maddie. Kenny has been seeming more vicious as of late.
Yeah, he's really blurring the lines. His promos have taken on this air of this like haters back off, like really kind of defensive, and it seems like it's for no reason.
So, Meltzer actually talked about that this weekend.
Really?
And so this is Dave's perspective. And did I tell you about meeting Dave, by the way?
You may have. I mean, you got all these exploits nowadays. It's like it's hard to keep track.
So it was super awesome, and it was actually a group of us gathered around Dave, and Dave actually took the moment to like stop and like because he'd been talking to other guys, and he just like made sure to like take a minute and say like, "Hi." Introduce myself. By the way, Dave is fucking jacked, dude. And I know you see pictures. And I'm like, no, dude, Dave is fucking jacked.
Where does he find the time?
I don't know. He is. I mean, Dave is a sort of jacked where he's like vascular.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. He must not be human. I don't know.
And then Brian is just like such a nice guy. And it was so great to be able to like meet those dudes because that's such a big part of my week. So now I just need to meet Wade, Bruce, and Todd, and then like my podcast world is set.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Waterloo is probably about the best place to do that. So.
There's that shit happening at All In though with the what is it?
Oh yeah, that Starcast. Yeah.
The 4-star Starcast. Yeah, and then Dave and Brian are doing another Q&A in Chicago. I've got my All In tickets. I just got to figure out what I'm going to do. So I got to sort that shit out. So yeah. Anyway, so what Dave was saying about like Kenny's promos, and he's mentioning this about Austin Aries as well, is that it's like two of the guys that are basically among the best in the world. And then they get shit constantly about the fact that they're not in WWE. Let's go back to the whole stupid fucking wrestling tweet of the week that I read earlier.
Yeah, but at the same time, like those guys have had to work so hard, and you got to figure there's probably a bit of insecurity there that's kind of driving that work ethic. So it makes sense for them to kind of lash out and be defensive.
I don't know that it's insecurity. I think it's probably, I think Kenny knows how good he is, and I guarantee goddamn Austin Aries knows how good he is. I think they're tired of getting the shit.
Yeah, and I'm sure that it's out there. I'm sure it's real because you see it all the time, like you mentioned. So
anyway, Juice and Kenny, obviously Kenny ends up going over. He shows a pretty serious heelish side, including, and he's been doing this a lot, the V trigger to the back of the head, which is just nasty looking. The thing that I love about this match is that afterwards, Kenny picks Juice up and then hands him the title, his U.S. title.
Yeah. After all that, yeah, you kind of see it at the beginning of the match too. Kenny has like an arm wrench on, and debates stomping the cast, and he kind of lets go. And then as the match goes deeper, and you're in the heat of the moment, you're going to attack that vulnerable point. But afterwards, he kind of makes up for it and gives him his due. Because it's a valiant effort that Juice is even there in the first place. So,
I
but
think
he doesn't think so though, Juice himself, because he in another one of his masterful promos talks about how if he goes over in the whole tournament, he might as well just pack it up and go back home and stick his thumb up his ass and play tiddlywinks.
I love Juice so much.
He's so good. He's a fantastic talker.
I actually had a friend over and I was showing him some wrestling shit, and this was like a newish wrestling fan. So I showed him, I basically wanted to give him some context on a lot of modern wrestling shit. So I showed them the takeover where two important things happened, whereas number one was that Sami Zayn won the NXT title. And you remember what else happened on that show?
Kevin Owens debuted against a little-known guy by the name of C.J. Parker.
Yeah, what happened in that match?
Somebody got busted open pretty hard, and I don't think it was old CJ.
Well, so not only did KO get busted, KO's nose got broken in that match. KO
Right.
still has a scar to this day from that match. Because old CJ, who we now know as Juiso Robinson, hit him with a palm strike and just fucking straight busted KO's nose.
Yeah, and kind of really adds to what he did later on in that night. You see this guy, looking all sadistic and maniacal with this bandage over his nose, knowing that he was busted open earlier. Kind of unintentionally added a little bit of gravitas to that angle when Kevin Owens powerbombed Sami Zayn on the apron and turned heel in his first night in the promotion. It was pretty awesome.
And then William Regal comes out. So it was interesting. Go back and watch that. I actually encourage everybody to go back and watch that show, because you see all the people that come into the ring with Sammy, and so it's obviously like Enzo and Big Cass come out, which is very lulzy at this point. But Elias is out there, and what's funny it's Elias with short hair in a suit.
No kidding. I might have to go back and just look at that real quick.
And I'd have to go back and watch it again. There was also Corey Graves' first night on commentary.
Wow, and that's come a long way.
Which is interesting because Corey and Sami Zayn that was like Corey's last rivalry before he got hurt.
Okay, that makes sense.
So, yeah, go check that stuff out. Go see that's essentially Juice's last big moment in NXT, even though he jobbed in under 10 minutes. Although it's fair to say that the guy that he jobbed to is a big fan of his.
Yeah, it's pretty cool seeing how that all works out.
Okay, so I'm gonna push forward a little bit because we said we were gonna do an hour and we're at an hour 20 right now. But hey,
no worries.
No worries. Dude, Sonata versus Ibushi. This is a match that I show people that aren't wrestling fans to make them wrestling fans.
Yeah, it's hard to find two better athletes. The aforementioned dream match between Hangman and Rollins is like the only thing I can imagine that could possibly compete.
By the way, I feel like Sonata is Japanese LeBron James.
That's I mean, I guess I can kind of see it. If LeBron had a spiked blonde afro, maybe.
They have the same beard, and
Or not afro, a mohawk. Jesus.
and you're just pretending that you don't notice it because LeBron left your city again.
Hey, I'm happy for the man.
You know what? How many years in a row did he go to the finals? Was it like 8?
6 or 7, I want to say.
It's at least 7 because it was 4 with the Heat.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was 4 and 4
and 3 with the Cavs. Yeah.
No, wasn't it 4?
Mm,
All right, well, we're not going to get into
maybe
basketball.
4. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. I don't
Yeah,
know.
point is, GOAT. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's. I don't even think you can really make the argument anymore, unless you're just like some old head who's just afraid to.
Oh, trust me, I hear it all the time.
Yeah.
No, bro, but
Uh,
bro, tell me about Sonata and Ibushi.
yes. Where do you even start? So so much good stuff. Yeah, there's like the can you top this? Both guys, you know, diving and hitting missile drop kicks that just look gorgeous. Um,
And by the way, when they hit that drop kick on each other after like a whole series back and forth, I mean, it's like wrestling does this a lot. Like the really high profile matches when you have like a big scramble at the beginning, and then the guys top it off with drop kicking each other, and they just sort of go back to the corner. It's like, okay, and then you give the crowd a minute to sort of be like, holy fucking shit, what did we just see?
right. Yeah, you know that you're in for something special. Yeah. Um, both guys are just, yeah, they're just all over the place, going for various moonsaults to the floor, and uh, it's it's a masterpiece. And then towards the end we get some real fierceness. Sonata ends up kind of stealing one of Ibushi's moves, going with a lawn dart into the corner, hitting a tiger suplex, which I don't really think I've seen from Sonata before, so that was something novel.
Well, he did try that against Kenny recently.
Okay. Well, that would have been the following match, so I don't know if that's something that's new to his arsenal, but either way, I'm not digging it. Um, it's just crazy, like the amount of just the skull end going into these flips over top of each other and going back and forth, and yeah, it's tremendous stuff.
One of the things I'm really digging about Sonata right now is how he's using the skull end because he's locking it in so many different ways. He's countering a lot of moves with it. He's doing the giant swing with it.
Yeah, yeah, he's really diversifying that attack. Yeah.
And listen, dude, he's doing a fucking dragon sleeper, which is one of my favorite moves ever, and he's doing novel stuff with it.
Yeah, and he's using it to set up a moonsault, which in all these days when we have these guys doing crazy flips and phoenix splashes and red arrows and all these really awesome acrobatic type of moves, it's nice to just see a simple effective moonsault that wins matches.
Which is funny, by the way, that we're talking about a moonsault being simple and effective, but that's straight out of the Keiji Muto playbook, who is one of the people that trained Sonata.
Right. Well, when you get to the point when super heavyweights are doing the move, then I guess it's kind of
I mean, yes, but it is when Sonata does it, and especially the context in which he does it, it is a nod to Keiji Muto.
right. Yeah, he sets it up with that um, backbreaker, sometimes just that simple backbreaker, and
Well,
that's
lately he's been doing the skull end into the moonsault.
yeah. But occasionally he'll do the other setup too, which is harkens back as well. So yeah, it's really awesome to see. Sonata goes over in this match with the moonsault after the skull end, and Ibushi goes totally limp from the skull end. Like Ibushi's so good at selling, and it's almost underrated. I feel like just because he's so good with his offense and so crazy with the risks that he takes. That it kind of gets lost in the shuffle of this whole package. That Ibushi's just so amazing overall.
Who's better than Ibushi?
Uh, there's maybe like a handful of people, and it's debatable.
Yeah, yeah, he's that good, and considering it seems like he's full time with New Japan. I do not know if he is still a freelancer or not. considering his best friend is the and tag team partner is the world champ, there's probably some big stuff on the horizon for Ibushi.
Yeah, specifically when he and Omega face off, like that's gonna be it's gonna be like the Mega Powers exploding.
Yeah, that match that's coming up at the end of the G1 is not going to be the only time those two face. I suspect that the two of them will end up as tag team champs at some point still, but there's still the yeah, there's still the WrestleMania 5 moment for those two.
Yeah, no doubt.
So though Sonata wins the match with the skull and a moonsault, and then we get something that we never see, and that's Sonata on the mic.
Yeah, it's a very brief promo. He mentions that Niigata is his favorite town in all of Japan, and he states very plainly that he is going to win the G1, and then he says, "See you next time," in English, and bails. That's pretty much it.
So rolling on to night 9. This is A block. The night kicks off with Elgin and Suzuki. And for what it's worth, I think everybody listening knows this. We're skipping the tag team matches that take up the first half of the cards. And those tag team matches do set up the next night of block matches. But the truth is that at a certain point, as a New Japan fan, you'll watch those for fun or to see your favorite guys, but that's barely an appetizer. That's so we're leaving that stuff in the dust.
Yeah, and most of the time those guys do their post match comments, and you can kind of glean what happens in the match just off of that 30-second promo that those guys cut. So if you're really looking for that supplement, that's probably the best way to do it, and not take up all of your time watching wrestling.
So, which is okay, but sometimes.
Oh no, I mean I'm yeah, by all means I'm not.
You ain't judging, homie.
Oh no, because all my time, is going either to Baby Girl or New Japan. So yeah.
Well, trust me. Since I get to kind of set my own schedule, there's a lot of days that I get out of bed first thing, and I turn me on some New Japan.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So let's just jump to the chase on this match. It's Elgin and Suzuki. You get a little bit of a back and forth, but really the story here is that Suzuki sort of takes all of Elgin's wrestling stuff, and then eventually gets the guillotine and the Gotch pile driver.
Yeah. Main thing I remember about this match is just a couple slight botches from Elgin. At one point, he tries to do the Ricardo Arona Rampage Jackson spot, the aforementioned thing with the deadlift, and he just kind of drops Suzuki like in midair, and just doesn't really connect with the power bomb out of the deadlift. So that was kind of wonky. And then he also goes for a tiger bomb that just like ends up just devolving halfway through, and he just kind of lets go, and yeah, just kind of crappy looking. But yeah, that final closing sequence is pretty cool too. Suzuki locks on the sleeper, and they go back and forth, and then eventually Suzuki slips out the back into a sleeper and hits the Gotch for the win.
So Evil and Hangman Page. In your notes, you say Hangman Page just turned 27. He's younger than me. What am I doing with my life? Well, just so you know, much like you, Hangman Page was a teacher.
Nice. That's good to know. I wonder what subject he was teaching at the time.
I think he has like a communications degree in college.
Okay.
So he's probably an English teacher.
Yeah, interesting. He's clearly got a little bit more clout than I do as far as fame and whatnot, but that's okay. Never been my goal in life anyway.
Well, well, please continue to talk about these two famous people.
Right. So this is a match that I really highlighted from this night. I think that although the last couple matches were probably a little bit more sound technical matches, I think that these two guys are really the future of this promotion. If they stay on the track that they're on currently. So it's a good preview of what's to come. Um, both of these guys go for their finishers right out the gate. Um, that last right, or not last right, the rite of passage is a pretty involved move, so it's easy to see how you could counter out of that. And STO, everything is evil, doesn't hit either. So, it's a quick stalemate. Page powders out. And, both men are able to avert disaster early on.
On a side note, I would like to have some situation in life where I get introduced as King of Darkness.
Are you going to carry around laser pointers on your gloves and a scythe and really commit to it? Because if not, I don't think you're going to be able to make that happen.
Oh, why can't I do my own thing, Matt?
I'm just saying, it's going to take a lot of effort to, to earn that moniker.
Are you saying I don't put a lot of effort into life?
I'm not saying. Do you put that much effort into being evil, though?
I just feel like it was something I was born with.
Fair enough.
I mean, listen, I'm like the main songwriter in a really awesome metal band. That it has to mean I'm evil, right?
I mean, that's a tough argument to,
And that reminds me, on mid-October this year, my band Northern Crown is we're releasing our third album, which is also self-titled. Artwork is done by Travis Smith, who you've seen do artwork for Opeth and Catatonia and Iced Earth and Death and Control Denied and a lot of other amazing bands. And it was mastered at Fascination Street Studios, who have done basically every fucking European metal band that matters. Like, again, I don't know, Catatonia, Opeth, Devin Townsend, who's obviously not European, Amon Amarth, Amorphous. So it's kind of a big deal. And I keep sidetracking this podcast, and we're like 2 hours in, and I'm past giving a fuck.
Yeah, again, no worries. One of the things I really want to talk about, too, is it's like a total transition move most of the time when he hits it, but Hangman Page has this awesome. So it's out of a deadlift. He picks his opponent up into a pump handle slam position, and then hits a fall-away slam and is able to bridge into it. And it always just goes for two, but it just looks fantastic.
Dude, whenever you bridge back into a pin, it always looks impressive.
Yeah, especially out of a deadlift into a really, I mean, it shows off strength and athleticism and everything. Like it's just an awesome display.
It's like, damn, dude, check out your core.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's like, I know you killed famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan, but your core is impressive.
He did.
And that reminds me, when you do talk about Joey Ryan, you do need to say it as famous dick wrestler Joey Ryan.
That's just I don't even know. I'm not gonna
Maddie,
that.
talk to us about the finishing sequence for this match.
Okay, so they they do this dueling clothesline spot. Both guys just bashing into each other. Looks great. Evil back body drops Hangman Page on the apron that sets up the buckshot lariat. Really awesome looking move. Page gets a lot of momentum going off of that slingshot into the ring, and the lariat always looks really impressive. And that leads to a couple awesome looking headbutts. Evil hits Page, and another huge lariat, and then the Everything is Evil for the win.
Awesome match. Evil is having an amazing tournament. Moving on to Jay White and Bad Luck Fale. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this. This has been sort of the typical Tongan interference bullshit. Fale goes over when Tama hits a gun stun on White, and then bad luck fall for the win. I get really annoyed when people don't call Tama's finisher the gun stun.
What else do they call it?
Stun gun, which is a totally different move.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty weak.
That was stunning Steve Austin's finisher.
Right. Yeah, that's the like the draping the neck over the top rope, right?
Well, it's the face first drop on the turnbuckle.
Okay, gotcha.
Was also the snake eyes, which Vinny Vegas did.
Yes.
Kevin Nash.
Right. Okay.
Big Daddy Cool Diesel.
Yes. Yeah, you gotta do the. Yeah. Everybody's doing their imaginary air horn as we speak.
Indeed. Hey, Maddie.
Yes.
Remember Big Truck?
I do remember Big Truck.
Okay.
I wrote a country song about Big Truck.
And we didn't record it, which is what really fucked it up.
It was a classic 12-bar blues lick. It was pretty great.
So
I could probably record it today, like right now.
So to give everybody the story, because I don't want to leave people in the dark, because I love our listeners, especially the people that are 2 hours into the show. So 2009, Matt has just graduated from high school. His present from me is I fly him down to Florida to hang out with me for a weekend. This is his first time on an airplane, by the way, and he has to actually make he has to like get a connection in Detroit, and he's like shitting himself. So I get him down here, and I'm like, fuck it, bro, we're gonna go see boxing. So we go to the Bank Atlantic Center. I can't remember what the fuck it's called today. And there's some like card that Don King is promoting, and one of the boxers, and I think it was a heavyweight guy, but I don't remember for certain, but one of the boxers, his nickname was Big Truck. And we actually get back to my house that night, and Matt grabs my acoustic and starts like jamming out this song Big Truck.
Yeah, it was, I don't even know, it just inspired me. Just the name, those two words back to back, Big Truck, it spoke to me.
And then we were playing like one of the fight night games on the Xbox, so we actually made Matt as Big Truck Matt Thompson.
Classic.
So this is what you're getting, with this podcast. You're not just hearing about New Japan Pro Wrestling. Listen, we're family. This shit goes way back. This shit runs deep. And not only does it run deep, we actually have a family that hates the fact that we're wrestling fans, and we have just like plowed through otherwise.
Yeah. No need for the stigma. It's silliness.
Yeah, I'm enough drinks into the evening that I feel like talking shit. Whatever. So we got next match is Hiroshi Tanahashi and Togi Makabe. Tana goes over here, of course, with the high fly flow. Listen, I kind of dig Makabe because he's like the tribute to Bruiser Brody. But I feel like that there's other guys that could totally be in this tournament other than Makabe, and like he's sort of taken up a spot like Finlay should be in there, or Cody. I don't know, you could have Jeff Cobb. There's a lot of people that could be in that spot other than Makabe.
Yeah, I think it was this night. No, it wouldn't have been this night. It would have been shit. Yeah, it would have been this night because it's A block. So, Juice and Finlay teamed up, and when they did their post match afterward, Juice talked about how Finlay should be in the tournament, and Makabe is the obvious choice for the guy he should supplant to be in the tournament for sure. And this match was really nothing to write home about. Towards the end, Makabe tries for the Spider German, and Tanahashi fights out of it, and he turns around on the top and Makabe turns it into like a spider, belly to belly, more or less. But he misses the follow-up knee drop, and that sets up Tanahashi to hit the high fly flow for the win.
So I'm at the G1, and Tana comes out for his match. And Tana's in a tag match, and I can't remember who it was with. Who the fuck was Tana teaming with it at G1?
That was like the big multi-man tag, had like Rey Mysterio in it, right?
Was it?
I want to say, yeah.
I might have been. So, Tana is there on the apron, and there's this dude a couple seats down from me and Dan who yells something like, "I love you, Ace," and Tana actually turns around and says, "I love you too."
Yeah, I think that was caught on the broadcast.
Which was kind of cool. Familiar. And it turns out that Tana is actually actively working on learning English.
Nice. He's a good advocate to have for that. A good like ambassador type of guy to be able to reach out as a native Japanese guy. So that's pretty cool.
And actually, he was doing that weekend of the G1 special. He did an interview with Meltzer, and his English is actually like pretty good.
That's awesome.
Like Okada's is pretty solid. Obviously, Shinsuke can speak English. Kushida's is a little iffy. I'd be curious to see how good Naito's English is. Naito can definitely speak Spanish.
Yeah.
But that's cool that Tana's doing that, and Tana gets to meet one of his career goals early next year. He gets to wrestle in MSG.
Yeah, that's got to be a career goal for all those guys. That's such a huge accomplishment that they're even getting booked there.
Fucking WrestleMania weekend of all weekends.
Yeah, that's going to be a trip. Going head to head with Takeover too. So who knows what kind of card you're going to get.
That by the way, that Takeover could easily be well, so there's a takeover coming up, and then there's a takeover for Survivor Series, Royal Rumble. Shit, I don't even know what that takeover is going to be. That could be like fucking Jeff Cobb and Ricochet by that point.
Yeah, or word is that Matt Riddle's going to be showing up.
Oh, yeah, dude. Okay, Matt Riddle and Keith Lee.
That would be crazy.
There's a history there. Because Gargano and Ciampa should be done by then.
Yeah, they that by all means they should be.
Okay, so Okada and Yoshihashi, dude, I don't even want to talk about this. Okada wins. Okada's been weird in this tournament, and Yoshihashi, I don't want to say he sucks because he's obviously a better professional wrestler than say I am, but like he comes out with a curtain rod. And then he's got like the weird athletic tape on his shoulder. I just, bro, I don't.
At least he doesn't have loose explosion written on his ass anymore.
No, he's the headhunter now, which isn't that much better because, like, I could go just do a search on Pornhub right now for headhunter.
Yeah, maybe if you type both of them in, headhunter, loose explosion.
And honestly, listen,
see what comes out.
Listen, I've been single for a while. I'm not really single anymore, but I'm pretty certain I see the phrase headhunter pop up a lot on Tinder.
Oh, dear God.
Dios mío.
Indeed. So, yeah, this was the main thing about this was, again, Okada's promo afterward. He, really just lays into Yoshihashi. He's like, this was like I said, this wasn't a very good. Or he talks about how in the previous press conference he said this wasn't going to be a good match, and then the crowd kind of gives a little bit of a response to that, and then he fakes tearing up. It was like a Sally Field, like you like me, you really like me kind of response, and but it's all sarcastic. And
Okada's been weird.
Yeah, and he's like, well, if Yoshihashi and me had a good match, that means that Yoshihashi got in some offense, and that's bullshit. I should do better. So that was the main takeaway from that.
I'm assuming there's some sort of chaos blow up coming up soon.
Yeah, this is gonna all come to a head sooner or later.
So moving on to
Without it being
night
so clear.
10, which is July 28th, which is technically 2 days ago, but we'll call it yesterday because I haven't slept since then. Opening match is Tamatonga and Zack Sabre Jr. Sabre goes over here with another set of, bullshit Tongan interference.
Yeah. I mean, what do you even say? Like, you think that's gonna end because you know, ZSJ gets the ref up after a ref bump and all the bullshit interference. Tamatonga rolls him up, so you think, okay, this is gonna be it. But Zack Sabre Jr., he kicks out.
He
He
catches
eats
the
a gun. He
gun
eats a
stunt.
gun stun, and or no, he catches a gun stun attempt, and then he gets a submission left, and you think, okay, this is gonna be it. And then Fale runs in and just blatantly hits Sabre Jr. with a grenade for the DQ.
And I was going to say, Sabre actually gives Fale a really defiant look before Fale attacks him.
Yeah, and as he should. Like, this is ridiculous. Um, I think it was Naito in his thing. It's like he blames New Japan for even booking Tama Tonga in the first place. He's like, you guys know better. Like, this is what this guy does. Like, why is he even in this tournament? So
It's nice someone's working that angle backstage.
yeah, it really is. Like, and Kevin Kelly again with his awesome commentary puts Naito over as probably the smartest guy in the company as far as
I agree that is definitely Naito's character.
yeah.
And I wish I could rock a white suit that good too.
Yeah, and that like weird metal mask too.
I've seen you in a metal mask, dude. You can totally pull that part of it off. So,
I'll try it tomorrow when I go to work.
so Juice and Toru Yano. Juice goes over here as first one of the tournament. Yano has a really fucking nasty moment where he does his whole tape gimmick and he tapes Juice to the guardrail and then smashes his bad hand with a chair. Juice actually pulls his cast off during the match.
Yeah, he goes for the big left hand shot, which of course is a signature move that he can't do or else he'll get DQ'd with the cast on. So he decides to take it off and goes for the big shot, but Yano ducks it, and then that leads to them kind of doing this like little ring around the rosy gimmick, with both of their hands wrapped around each other's wrists, and Juice finally gets the pulp friction on an opponent and finally picks up a win in the tournament. So good for him. He doesn't have to go back and stick his thumb up his ass and play tiddlywinks after all.
And this is also the match where they do the whole dueling turnbuckle pad thing. Like they have
Yeah,
fucking lightsabers or some shit.
right. I love the opening sequence where they both they're in the tie up and they each get each other against the ropes and they each shout fair play, as opposed to like going break, break, break. They both go fair play, fair play. So it's
By the way,
just
I love
in goofy.
seeing Yano live when the break chant starts.
That's got to be a blast. Yeah, I one day I hope to see Yano in person and participate in that as
Maddie,
well.
I'm going to get you to a Yano match one of these days.
I'd like that.
Even if that means it's like Olivia's like 5th birthday, I'm getting you to a Yano match in person.
It's graduation day, commencement.
Fuck, dude, Yano's going to be in a wheelchair. Actually, Yano in a wheelchair is going to be amazing.
He'd still be the best manager in the company or something.
All right, so listen, dude, next match is Ishii and Ibushi. And, I mean, dude, listen, I know this is a year in which we've seen all sorts of amazing matches. I mean, listen, we've got Omega Okada for, the first 7-star match ever. We've got 2 Gargano Ciampa matches. We've got fucking Omega Naito earlier in this tournament. We've got fucking Goto Omega. We've got Omega Ishii. But dude, Ishii and Ibushi is my match of the year.
That's yeah. I can't debate that. I mean, I'm sitting here trying to think, how do we do this match justice?
So here's what I'll say is this, and this is why I love wrestling, and this is what will keep me a wrestling fan, for the rest of my days. Dude, I don't know what was real and what wasn't.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, these guys beat the holy hell out of each other. The main thing I remember is Ibushi just, punching Ishii in the fucking throat.
The throat punches, the fucking chops to the neck, the headbutts, the suplexes where Ishii landed on his head. I just... And by the way, dude, Ishii hitting a fucking Kamigoye on Ibushi.
Mm-hmm. And Ibushi selling it like death.
And then Ibushi coming back with the fucking vertical brainbuster.
Yeah. And that was a sick bump too. Like that looked nasty when Ishii, took that brainbuster. That was wild.
These guys are trading headbutts, and I trust these guys at this point to do the headbutts right. So I think that they were doing the headbutts okay. But dude, they're trading headbutts. They're trading fucking brainbusters. And one of the best things about Ishii is that Ishii...
And we didn't even mention that Ibushi dove like, out of the stands 12 feet.
Oh yeah. We haven't mentioned basically the fucking the fucking ECW jump that he did.
Right. Yeah, just, ridiculous, man. Like these guys went, balls to the wall and then some.
Didn't Ishii do a fucking Ishii did a last ride at some point, didn't he?
He did, yeah, and it was a rough looking one too.
I mean, Koda's last ride he didn't get quite right. Like Ishii was slipping out of his hands when he got that in.
Yeah, he kind of staggered. Yeah,
they hit every move on each other. They traded moves, and both of them no-sold everything, and then they just. I don't know when I have been both as simultaneously excited and uncomfortable about a wrestling match.
Yeah, that was something else.
It was just, no, dude, I think this was my favorite match of the year. And this has been one of the best, wrestling years ever. This is the, for me as a wrestling fan, is the best year of wrestling ever.
It's easy to make that argument for sure.
I don't know how to do this match justice. This is an amazing match. There's a lot of back and forth. The match was violent as fuck. There's a lot of stiff shots. There's a lot of no selling. You kind of know what you get with Ishii. Ibushi looked straight up fucking malicious and psycho at times.
He did, yeah. Especially when he does a soccer kick at one point to Ishii when he's down on the mat, just like straight up kicks him in the side of the head.
He's taunting him. He's taunting him constantly.
Yeah.
And Red Shoes is like, bro, what the fuck is your deal? Why are you being like this?
Right. Yeah, it's seemingly uncharacteristic for sure.
Is there anything better than when Red Shoes gets annoyed?
There's a few things, but
not a lot.
I probably shouldn't mention them on air.
Wrestling related.
Yeah, no, very few, if any.
Anyway, though, Ibushi ends up going over the Kamigoye for the win in this one. There's only so much we can say about this match. Go see it. If you don't have a New Japan World subscription, I don't know why you're listening to this. If you're listening to this and you don't have a New Japan World subscription, go fucking get one, dude. Come on. What the fuck is your problem?
And fire up this match. First thing.
So Goto and Naito. Another amazing match out of Goto. I think actually Rocky said it during this match, that like Goto is the MVP for the tournament. Goto has had an amazing tournament. He really, really has. And one of the cool things about this match is how these guys can counter one another's finishing moves, right? Because countering a Destino into a GTR kind of makes sense.
Hmm. Yeah, and they had answers for everything each other everything each other tried throughout the whole match. Um, I just, I this one is a little bit more of a blur, honestly, just because it followed like the most tremendous match ever, and was
It,
sandwiched in
it
between that and an awesome Omega Sonata match.
Yeah, it's in between two really killer matches. This was a great match. You had a lot of really cool counters. You had like a really crazy reverse GTR to the Destino. And then it ends with Naito getting out of a GTR with a Destino. Goto kicks out and then hits another Destino. And it's not like a lot of people kick out of the Destino.
Yeah, I think that was probably the first. Like sometimes Naito will hit like a variation of it that'll end up being kicked out of, but this first one that Naito hits on Goto is a full on, full momentum, like he ran into it, and Goto still was able to kick out of that, so that makes him look really, really strong coming out of this match, despite the loss.
It was an amazing match. The main event is the best bout machine Kenny Omega against Japanese LeBron James Sonata.
Yeah, you're killing me with that, but yeah, this match. I mean, what more can you say, man? Like these guys are both tremendous. Kenny Omega put over Sonata on Twitter as a future work.
Let's not get carried away.
Yeah, he was going to. He almost called Sonata a future world champion, and I think that's a really fair statement. I wouldn't be surprised in the least bit if that
Like
ended
I
up
said
happening.
earlier in the show, like Zack Sabre Jr., Sonata. Let's throw Will Ospreay in there too.
Yeah,
Hiromu if he gets better. Those guys are the future of the business.
yeah. Trying to think of like just a specific moments in this match that stand out. Um, and is there anything that comes to mind for you immediately?
The ending.
Um, oh yeah, yeah. That reverse Rana attempt and Omega, just pops right back up like you think that's not a really finally caught him with something good, and he tries like doing the backwards flip um, into the skull end, but Omega catches him into a fireman's carry, and from the fireman's carry straight up into the one winged angel for the win.
I mean, honestly, that whole
It's
ending
crazy.
is like the skull end and the package tombstone, V trigger, reverse Rana, skull end attempt, fireman's carry, one wing angel end. That whole end sequence was amazing, and this whole match was great because these two are amazing. And again, I don't think us as like as analysts are going to do like a play by play. There's a lot going on in this match. And again, by the way, I mentioned this earlier. Sonata breaks out the Tiger Suplex again. Kenny's been doing a J Driller lately, which is interesting.
Yeah, and the one that he hits in this match looked particularly sick.
And was it Kenny that did a Styles Clash recently?
I think he may have set up for one, but it wasn't successful. No, he did it in the Okada match. I think he hit that, and he hit the. I think he hit. I don't know if he hit a Bloody Sunday, but I know he hit the double stomp too. Like he does the callbacks to the previous Bullet Club leaders' moves in his big matches. I think it was that 2 or 3 falls match where he won the
So
title.
I mean, listen, this was like a really crazy match. Sonata is freakishly athletic. These guys had a lot of counters for each other. You know, you see a lot of the moves where it's like a moonsault or something like that, where a guy ends up landing on his feet. You know, they go for the move again later. You know, like Kenny going for the you can escape and ends up eating like a pair of knees, or Sonata hitting a moonsault and then later eating knees on the moonsault or missing the moonsault or something like that. So it was a very cat and mouse match.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and the funny thing is, afterwards, where Omega talks about how he doesn't know how to chain wrestle at all, like the world champion admitting that he has a weakness going into his match against Zack Sabre Jr. coming up.
Well, Kenny gave an interview recently. This was with Meltzer, where he said he doesn't think he's one of the 50 best wrestlers in the world. He doesn't even think he's a good wrestler.
That's the mindset you got to have to be that good and still think that. That's quite a work ethic there.
And to be fair, Kenny and Zack Sabre are very different. I'm expecting Kenny to lose at some point in any of the matches he has left. I expect him to lose, and I definitely expect him to not win against Ibushi. And you and I talked about this, earlier offline. If the Tongans fucking interfere somehow in the final of this match, or they interfere in the Omega Ibushi match, I'm gonna be fucking pissed.
I'm afraid that's what this is all leading to.
I expect better from Ghetto, so just, let me say that.
Yeah. Well, maybe it'll still happen, but it won't end up directly leading to the finish.
So, guys and gals, we got you caught up on all the latest goings-ons in New Japan. We gave you the standings earlier. We gave you our picks. We're going to be back next week with another show. Continue to talk about the G1 tournament. Guys, gals, we're super excited to be back with you. This is going to be a regular thing going forward, even if it's not every week. We're not going to disappear again, especially because I'm not going to drink tequila in Texas anymore. Maddie, you got anything you want to plug before we go?
Yeah, sure. So the Twitter is probably the best place to hit me up. That's at Albino Buddha, ALBINO_BUDDHA. Instagram is Thompson MR90, and Facebook, which I'm always in and out. I may just decide to deactivate it again tomorrow, but that's facebook.com/MadMattT MADD.MATT.T, sort of Jeff Jarrett-esque there.
All right, well, you can find the show on Facebook at Flying Gaijin Bombcast, Twitter FG Bombcast, email flying.gaijin.bombcast@gmail.com. And you know where else you can find us? You can find us next week. Until then.
I see the colors you don't see running down the wall. Infinity between spaces, unfamiliar sights and thoughts.